So one of the people I follow, or groups I follow on Twitter, now known as X, is Hourly Archie Sonic. And the reason I follow it is because of the fact that every hour they try to basically put up a page from a random Archie Sonic comic. Now sometimes these pages will get people talking based on the panels that are used. And in yesterday's case, trying to find the right words to say, in yesterday's case, we had one based on issue 197 from 15 years ago this past February. But what's interesting is the page that they used was from the main story, but the main story was basically split into two parts. One part had Sonic basically taking his doppelganger, Scourge, formerly Evil Sonic, who led the Suppression Squad, who were formerly known as the Anti-Freedom Fighters from the planet Anti-Mobius, now known as Moebius, basically taking his doppelganger into custody and handing him over to his alternative, his variant that guards the no zone, the special zone, the multiverse, if you will, in their case, Zonic, to be taken into custody. Anyway, it's also at the same time that we have another part to the story being told, and it's basically known as Sally's trial. And the reason for this is because Sally is being put on trial for treason. And why is she put on trial for treason, you might ask? Mainly for trying to do the right thing. She basically, did what she was, what she felt, I'm trying to find the right word to say, she felt was, the right thing. And basically that she was giving orders on behalf of the council, as a field leader. Now, what's interesting is the character that put her on trial is Hamlin Pig. Hamlin is a character that was introduced in the 1995 Princess Sally 3-part miniseries as a trainee freedom fighter, basically doing a mission on the job training style. Anyway, Hamlin is basically upset with Sally, and I'll tell you more why when I get to it. But yeah, he's the reason she's on trial. She's on trial and everything to basically, prove her innocence in, her decision-making during the 8-part issue between the Freedom Fighters and the Suppression Squad and their fight over trying to get Freedom HQ back into control of the Freedom Fighters and the planet Mobius. Anyway, long story short, Sally points out that she did everything basically under the advisement, or so she thought, under the advisement of the council, even, giving Sonic his punishment, quote unquote, to go basically to Moebius and finally finish this once and for all, or basically find a way to get Freedom HQ back, if you will. I mean, she even points out that the way of doing so, the Star Post, were created with the help of 2 council members, but Hamlin basically pointed out that the Star Posts are only meant for trips to the Special Zone, which is an ongoing mission. So basically what you had here in Sally's trial is a back and forth situation between Hamlin and Sally. Sally trying to basically make a point, which, she did, basically pointing out that she did things, as a field leader, but under the advisement and order of the council. But Hamlin is like, yeah, that's all true, but you also did this and you did that. And by the way, did you give Sonic, the order to do what he had to do, or you had him do as princess? And Sally's like, no, I did it as, and Sally's like, no, I didn't. And Hamlin's like, oh, so you just did it as a field leader, not as a princess. Basically, long story short, Hamlin, throughout most of this portion of the main story known as Sally's trial, in a way had Sally dead to rights. I mean, Sally was correct in what she was saying in her defense, but Hamlin also basically used that against her by stating, oh yeah, so basically you went against the orders of the council, when you did what you did to get Freedom HQ back. You went against the orders of the council under the position of field leader, not princess. So in other words, what Hamlin is saying here, when he's countering Sally, trying to basically, find her guilty and basically proceed with whatever punishment she may suffer or may get, he's basically saying, his argument is, hey, if you would have given the order as princess, maybe you wouldn't be in this position right now, but you decided to be field leader, which basically does not give you any power whatsoever, because the freedom fighters, even you as field leader, answer to us. Now, what's interesting with this is you have the Royal Council, a majority of them, not happy with having to go through this whole hearing and everything based on a potential treason act by Sally for trying to do the right thing. Yes, Rosemary Prower in this portion of the comic basically still has a little bit of vitriol, a little bit of, I guess you could say, anger towards the royal family, because she thinks maybe this is all a conspiracy, but that's just her opinion. But you can definitely tell that she's not too thrilled being here either, because it's like, because basically it's like, why is this princess on trial unless it's a conspiracy by the royal family to basically still control people through us and such and such. But you can tell just by, her reaction that, yeah, she kind of looks at this as BS. And throughout the following issues, especially before the reboot, you could tell that her stance in the council softens, especially with the inclusion of Isabella, which is Mina Mongoose' mom, who's a very unbiased person. But anyway, to get back on point, Hamlin basically, counters what Sally says. Sally is like, in her mind, crud, like, oh crap, he got me right then and there. Basically Sally's like, crap, he's got me, dead to rights. So, Sally being Sally's like, look, fine. You're correct. Maybe I did do certain things, as field leader and not princess, but Freedom HQ is back in our possession, and the threat of invasion from Moebius has been driven back. She's basically trying to point out a lot of the right and justifications, in her actions, even if it went against some of what the council ordered, because their main focus was, not get Freedom HQ back, but get rid of Robotnik. And Sally, in her own way, was like, yeah, but, getting Freedom HQ took priority, because if not, we'd have two problems, on our hand. We'd have two problems on our hands. Anyway, to get to the point, Sally's like, okay, fine, I'm guilty. If this is what you think, fine, I'm guilty. Now Hamlin, he's eager to get going with the next step of the process, but then this is where Sally shines. This is where fans look at this and they say, this is why Sally is a fan favorite, no matter what interpretation you get of the character, whether it's satire, pre-reboot, post-reboot. This is why she's a beloved character. Because what she does is she points out that, one, she's not going to go through this again, and two, she will not give any direct order until she gets, the okay from the council, even if they're in the field of battle, like being fired upon, you name it. And that she will not order the Chaotix because she looks at them as free agents who have free range to do what they want to do. So she's basically saying, look, if you want to punish me and basically make me not give any order until you vote on it, that's fine. But then she says this. She says, or what you could do is trust me. Trust me based on my experience to make the right decision, because I've been doing this most of my life and I would never do anything to endanger my people. And it's when she comes up with that second option for them to think about, when you look at the council, even Tails' mom, they realize that second option she just said, like, hey, you could trust me based on my experience because I would not do anything to put anybody in danger because I've been doing this most of my life. You can even see, Rosemary, Tails' mom being like, oh, she, kind of has this look of, regretfulness a little bit, like, oh, she's right. Because she's because if you want to interpret it, she's realizing, oh, my son wouldn't be here right now if Sally wasn't, everything she's pointing out right now. If she wasn't, the leader she was, making the orders that she did, and doing this most of her life to keep, people safe like my son. So it's after she makes that second option that Elias is like, all in favor for dropping the charges and the investigation against Sally, and everybody except Hamlin, is in favor, but Hamlin is not. And then when Sally admits to Roeder that, yeah, Hamlin did have me, that's when she asked Hamlin, why? Why would you do this? You were one of my freedom fighters. And then Hamlin, points out and emphasizes substitute freedom fighters, trained by the best, only to be forgotten and left behind every time. And Sally's like, you were never forgotten. Hamlin's like, I don't want to hear, don't placate me, don't, try to manipulate me with your BS. And basically he points out that the reason he ran for council is because if Sally is not going to come up to him and say, hey, come join us on a mission to defeat Robotnik, then he's going to make sure she does it the right way, behind the desk, if you will, from behind the desk. But yeah, overall, despite it being a bittersweet ending and victory for Sally, if you will, overall, Sally's trial, mostly towards the end of it, proved why she's such a badass character and why fans have loved her no matter what her interpretation is. So if you haven't seen or read Sally's trial from 197, there is a comic drama on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I will link it here at the end of the video. And if you want to, it is online somewhere. It is online at YouTube as well for you to read. And it's even online for free at certain sites, but be careful about those sites because you never know, what they may contain. But with that said, let me know what your thoughts are, guys. What did you think of Sally's trial in 197? If you read it or if you watched the comic drama, what were your thoughts on it? Do you agree with Hamlin doing what he did, or do you think he just did it out of bitterness because, oh, I got trained, but I never got the shot? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comment section and in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube. And until then, I am out.